sadhana bhakti. Basically, you're just gonna, define what is sadhana bhakti. And here it's directly said, as subtitle, the first stages of devotion. So Rupa Goswami immediately just says that there are three categories of devotional service, and they're called sadhana bhakti, bhava, and prema. So here Prabhupada he has translated it to devotional service in practice, devotional service in ecstasy, and devotional service in pure love of Godhead. Yeah. So that's sadhana bhakti, bhava, and prema. So sadhana bhakti is all these protocols. Getting up in the morning, chanting 16 rounds, follow regulative principles. Offer the food. Do the puja, whatever. Yeah. So Prabhupada says there are many subheadings in each of these categories. Basically, we can start, just looking at sadhana bhakti. So Rupa Goswami immediately says that sadhana bhakti there are two kinds of sadhana bhakti. One is Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, and another one is Raganuga sadhana bhakti. Yeah. Oh, hello. Nice to see you. Yeah. So hello. Nice to have you here, Daniel Prabhu. So we've just discussing now second chapter of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the second wave in the Eastern Ocean. Yeah. So we're going through that two kinds of spiritual practice. In devotional life. So that's Vaidhi. It says here in the Sanskrit. I pasted on the YouTube. Vaidhi Raganuga Cheti Sadvidha Sadhana Vidha. There are two kinds of sadhana bhakti, Vaidhi and Raganuga. So already, Christoph Prabhu, what is Vaidhi and what is Raganuga? Yeah, so we'll hear what Rupa Goswami says. Let's see. Yeah, so Vaidhi. So he gives a definition. When the action of bhakti arises, not from the attainment of raga, but by the teachings of the scriptures, it's called Vaidhi bhakti. So I'll decode that. It means that yatra raga navaptatvat pravritti upajayat. So you have to have pravritti. You need to have some diligence in practice, and then you are gradually getting to have some raga or some feeling of love for Krishna through going through, you can say, the tube of practice. So that's called Vaidhi bhakti. Well, actually, raga is also possible to attain in another way, and that is by the spontaneous way. So then it's directly raganuga. So you see, raga is going to be the end result. You understand? So either you get raganuga by doing directly raganuga, or you do it through the tunnel of Vaidhi. Yeah. So let's see what Prabhupada says about this. He says that there are so many. Rupa Goswami is giving a lot of quotes from Bhagavatam and so on. And here's a general description of devotional service given by Srila Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So he divided it first into practice, and then you have when it's actually attained, then it's called bhava, and then when it's completely pure, it's called prema. But when you have the practice, then you can practice in two different kinds of ways. So that way, Prabhupada says one is using one's senses, right? We're using our senses now in the Bhakti Yoga. To do different kinds of services like that. So that's called Rishi Kena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchate. Rishik, senses are called Rishik. And then you have Rishika Isha, that's Krishna. He's a master of the senses. But actually, as Prabhupada says here, Krishna consciousness cannot be aroused simply by practice. One has. Yeah, exactly. Thank you for catching that, because it's a little bit subtle. Because we are talking about practice, but at the same time that you cannot get it by practice. So what's the deal? The deal is that it's personal. It's like it's actually mystical at the end of the day. you're practicing under, yeah, you're practicing under a teacher, but still there's this extra mystical ingredient which you need to get by the mercy of the teacher, because the teacher somehow or other he is blessed having that special gift, or in spiritual life you call that spiritual maturity sometimes, and that's a gift directly given from Krishna. It cannot be gotten by practice actually, but Krishna he feels inclined to give it when he feel affection for his devotee who has tried to love him by surrendered or humble service for a long time. So that is called sadhana bhakti. The hamster, he's just going and going and still he's just spinning. Yeah. So that, yeah, exactly, that constitutes the madness. So and that is the basic idea with the hamster wheel analogy is ignorance, avidya. That one is actually like the animal, the hamster is, he doesn't have knowledge. That's why he's running in this wheel, right? So for us, actually, the wheel is our senses, because we go into our senses and we find, the zest of life in our senses, the juice of life. But actually, it's supposed to be from the soul. Yeah, from Krishna, from the super soul, from Krishna, which is outside, everything, or inside everything. But it's not in the senses per se, where actually the happiness is to be found. You know, and if we get after that, it becomes some kind of it's like what do you call this? It can be like substance abuse. It's like you get drugged. What do you say? You get dopamine or something when you're eating an ice cream. How does it work? Exactly. Oh, really? There's a lot of them. Okay. Yeah, dopamine is the one we usually hear about. Yeah. So in that way, they keep right. That comes more quick than others. Yeah. So in that way, they keep us like running. Right. So they keep us in this wheel of senses. But then the other thing, to practice then is sadhana bhakti. It is like completely different practice. It's not done for this dopamine rush that we're getting from the senses. It's just done out of duty, just for spiritual advancement. So that's like the sadhana bhakti. So Prabhupada mentions, he mentions, for the sadhakas, those who are really doing that, they're getting up in the morning, they do Mangala Arati, deity worship. They are following strictly, avoiding certain material activities, offer obeisance as a spiritual master. And in doing all this, they will be cured from this madness, Prabhupada is saying. As a man's mental disease is cured by the directions of a psychiatrist, so this sadhana bhakti cures the conditioned soul of his madness under the spell of Maya material illusion. Yeah. And now we come to what I mentioned just before, a while before, that this sadhana bhakti or practice of devotional service may also be divided into two parts. The first part is called service according to the regulative principles. So that's called Vaidhi, because Vaidhi, it means, it means, rules. Vaidhi means rules. Yeah. So that was the quote which I gave the Rupa Goswami: when there is no attachment or no spontaneous loving service to the Lord. So you can say it's a little bit dry. You can say that it's not very watery. So you just come to the temple because it's good to come to the temple because now there is an appearance day. Like today we have Balarama appearance. So you just do it because somebody tells you to go, right? And you chant Hare Krishna on your beads. You chant a certain number on the japa because you're told that is good. Yeah, so that's called Vaidhi Bhakti. And then we can come to the next one. Let's see. Actually, it's said here also, Prabhupada says that this is also going on in the Varnashram Dharma system. You have four different. I mean, you heard about Varnashram Dharma before, but we can take it again. You have Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. That means the priests or intelligent class, you have the warrior or leader class, the business people or farmers, and also the laborers or servants. And then you have the 4 other ashramas, that is brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyas. So brahmachari means the student life, celibate, student life. Grihastha is when you're married, and vanaprastha is when you're pensioneered, and sannyas, it means the traveling, monk or sannyas. I mean, a complete, spiritual master like that. So in that way, the principle of remembering the Supreme Personality of God constantly, not forgetting Him at any moment, is meant to be followed by everyone without fail. So no matter where we are, smartavyo, vismartavyo na jyatuchit, sarvidi nisedasur etayoreva kinkara. So there's only one rule actually amongst all these different Vaidis. And the one important rule is to always remember Krishna and never forget Him. Did you hear that one before? Yeah, because very often, especially for new people, is that in the ocean of all these rules, one is forgetting Krishna like anything. Uh, of course, that's natural in one way, but actually, the rules, after some time, they're meant to support one's remembrance. So, for example, say for example, I want to watch a soap opera, but then, I have 8 rounds left. I promised to chant 16 rounds a day. So then, I just have to chant because I made, commitment. So I go and chant instead of watching the soap opera. So in that way, I save myself. That's the idea. By subscribing to this regimen of Vaidisana Bhakti, I save myself from the junk. Yeah. Does it make sense, Daniel? Oh, you're just listening. Yeah, that's good. Um, okay, any comments or questions so far? Yeah, isn't it? Yeah. So, so then it said, by Prabhupada, that these different orders of society and grades of spiritual advancement are conceived in terms of qualification. And, in the Bhagavad Gita, it said that all these 4, social orders, 4 spiritual orders, they're created by Krishna. Chatur Varnam Mayashishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasha. And they are created according to the Guna and Karma. It means, Guna means our qualities. So if you are a strong, handy person, then you can work with your hands. If you're like a bookworm, then you can work with books. Study literature, or study anything and just get into that. So people are different. People are practical. Somebody are more philosophical. So in that way, they find different places in the Varnashram system. It's not that actually one class is better than the other. This is a misconception, but still, it's working in a hierarchy, just like in the bakery. You remember we were in the bakery at that time, Christopher, and you asked me to ask, do you actually produce the bread here? Do you actually bake it here? And they said, actually, we get the dough from Germany, from the freezer. Right? Yeah. I saw, one journalist, he wrote about that actually. I will not mention a company name, because we don't do like that. But he was writing that this is like going against, the old bakery tradition, because like what really means bakery today, what it really meant before, it wasn't some kind of fast food bakery chain. It was really baked with love. Yeah, exactly. So somebody are very clever at this game, getting down the price to sell as much as possible. So they have to take a job like that. Yeah. So in that way, I want to make the example that it's not always that the higher class are better than the lower class. Because you see, the Vaishyas, they're employing, what we'd call then Shudras to make, all this bread dough and freeze it down and ship it from Germany to Norway, for example. But, that doesn't mean that these people who work under the owner of the bakery company are worse or are lower class in that way. It's just, but you can see it still works in a hierarchy because everything has to be in a hierarchy. So those who are working, to make the dough, they have to obey the one who owns the company, right? The one who owns the company is saying, now I want to, yeah, Yeah, yeah. It's yeah. I mean, but this is how it works when the world is taken over by economic interests. So that's why you need somebody above there, which is called the kshatriya. So the kshatriya, he would use his scepter of punishment, or I mean, it's called dandaniti. It means by law he's controlling. Actually, it doesn't mean only it means by law. By the law books, they have to regulate this stuff. That you cannot import like hell all this frozen dough from Germany. There's a certain limit to how much you can have. Yeah, yeah, especially yeah, it gives so much pollution, and yeah. So in that way, so you have somebody above the baker then. But again, it doesn't mean that that person who is above. Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's really bad situation, and but anyway, yeah, it will be much better if you bake it yourself. Then you wouldn't pollute, you wouldn't lose the money from your wallet, and you would even be healthier, more healthier. So you see, so in that way you can, yeah, yeah. So in that way you can understand that you have these different classes, and one is working above somebody else. But that doesn't mean that the one below is worse, or that the one above is better. It doesn't. It's not the implication. Okay, that somebody is actually better because one is higher up in the food chain. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Please, some opportunity for position. It may or may not be 100% spiritual. So that's why even in spiritual societies we have a hierarchy, but it doesn't mean that those higher in the hierarchy are actually more spiritually advanced necessarily, like this. So it's just like a rule of thumb is that we're never actually looking on the external achievements. We also do, but not in terms of how Krishna conscious the person is. Because Krishna consciousness is, after all, a very, very subtle and deep thing. But of course, one can learn from other people no matter where they are, really. And one can definitely learn from people who have been practicing Krishna consciousness a lot of years. Because they're made, their experiences. And we may not have, made that many experiences. So one can get some good advice. No, but it's important not to make offense. Yeah. But that was back in the day. The problem is in Kali Yuga, these things are thrown around. He said, in the Kali Yuga, then Brahmanas will be, abusing this situation. Brahma Bandhu. Yeah, but still he, no, no, but still if you're doing the duties of Brahmana, even externally, he is to be, appreciated for that also. So, yeah. But anyway, to my defense, I just want to say that because I've been addressed, a lot about this caste system and like that. I just want to make sure that everybody feel comfortable here because I know a few people who really they don't like it. Yeah, yeah, they do. Yeah, that's the problem. Anyway, so anyway, Prabhupada he has a few words to say about a Brahmana. He says the Brahmana is born out of the head of the Lord, and his business is to preach the transcendental Vedic sounds, or Shabda Brahma. Because the Brahmana is the head, he has to preach the transcendental sound. And now here he comes. He also has to eat on behalf of the Supreme Lord. So you know what that is called? It's called Brahma Bhojana. So in India still it is a sign of kind of cultural high class if the Brahmana has a big belly. It's called a Brahmana belly. Yes, that's the idea actually. But they're supposed to be they're supposed to be transparent. Yeah. Really? Oh, that's amazing. Sounds like similar to that. Prabhupada. He said one time, when he was in Soho Street Temple, I think he gave a class there, or there was some very nice puja, and at least Prabhupada was there, had kirtan in class and everything. Then Prabhupada said, afterwards, he said, "Did you see Narad Muni?" And he was there. No, we didn't see him. And then he said, "Did you see Lord Brahma was also there?" And after that, the devotees, they had put two chairs in that temple, in the Soho Street Temple. One chair is for Narad Muni, and another chair is for Lord Brahma. Still today, these chairs are there so that they can come if they like and sit, isn't it? Yeah. Sounds a little similar to me. Yeah. Yeah. That's always the problem. Yeah. But did you hear Daniel Christopher? He advised that we should just let it pass because anyway you can't win it, and it's true. It's true. That the person who gives, he is innocent because you see he's acting in good faith. Because you see, it's all about meditation and consciousness. So you just use that person as a portal. Exactly.
That's more my thinking, kind of way.
Well, that's more the Western thinking. The Western thinking is like that, not just your thinking, Donny. The whole Western, because it's Christianity, it means giving to the poor and help the poor. Unfortunately, or fortunately, the Western idea is that we should give to the advanced brahmanas. So anyway, yes, that's the point. So you see, it's supposed to be. I'm just trying to explain here. It's supposed to be a win-win situation because you see the person who is so-called, advanced, brahmana or whatever, and are giving them a lot of gifts. He's absorbing the karma of all these people who are giving him the gifts. See, that's the idea. So that means the persons who are giving the gifts, they are getting free from bad karma for every gift they're giving, and the size of the gift, then there will be more bad karma they're rid of. No, he will get a heart attack very quick. Yeah. So the idea, yeah. So the idea is that this Brahmana is supposed to be like a mailbox. You just put everything there, and it goes directly to God. The Brahmana is not keeping it for himself; it just goes through him. That's the idea. Yeah. Yeah. Well, in one sense, it's said in another way. In one sense, it matters if you want to have, the bhava and the prema, because you need to get in touch with somebody who has bhava and prema already. So of course, then it becomes like a little bit nitty gritty, because you actually need to search out to be lucky even to stumble over somebody who actually this love for God. Yeah. But that's okay. But still you have the universal law that nothing comes from nothing. So in order to get specific love for Krishna, you need to. It's even said in Vichrasa, if you want somebody to give you Vatsala rasa, you have to go to the Vallas of that, and they are usually the what do you call Nimbarka Sampradaya, like that. They are all Vatsala rasa people. Yeah. Yeah. So then you can find this. Yeah. So yeah. So you mingle with the people who are into the same thing. It goes natural. It's true. So in that way, you'll find your guru. In that gradually, it will be all revealed. Prabhupada has said many times. He said, "Those who want to be cheated, they are getting a cheater guru." That's maybe another rasa to enjoy the mellows of being cheated. Yeah. So now I go to the. Yeah. So anyway, so the duty of the brahmana is kind of explained now by us, that he's preaching the message of God, and he's also like the recipient of the mercy of God. He gets the mercy of God, and he gives it to others, and others, they are giving their gifts to him, and he passes them on to God. So he's like the via medium between man and God. And then the kshatriya, he is the person who protects people from being slaughtered, both physically and mentally by Maya. Yeah. So and then the Vaishyas, Prabhupada is explaining, they're meant for producing agricultural stuff, carrots and potatoes, and take care of the cows. And distribute them. So they are arranging that we have Ramatasan and Kiwi and Menu and all this. And they're also responsible for that we have all these ads coming up, on the internet. So that we should buy their products. And usually the products which are advertised a lot, that means we actually don't need these products, because they have to brainwash us to, yeah, to create a need. Yeah. So in that way, they are not as high, up in the consciousness as the kshatriyas and brahmanas. I mean, it's pretty clear when you analyze it like that. But still, they're needed, because without the vaishyas, you cannot get milk or bread. So yeah, yeah. So that's the point. You will often even see that the ones who are in the lowest stages, as shudras or workers, they are the most innocent, because they may just do simple work. Yeah. Yeah, that was a previous shudra, you know. So because it's better than that the worker just stay a worker, then he will be innocent and pure and go to God and be happy. So here it said, the working class Shudra, they don't have the intelligence of the Brahmanas or the Kshatras or the Vaishyas, and therefore they are meant to help these higher classes by bodily labor. Sounds like a slave, In this way, there is full cooperation. Yeah. So, I mean, it sounds kind of crude, this system. That's why I try to kind of, I want to, yeah, it was, yeah. The problem is now it's not so well balanced. So that's why it seems quite sour, this system. So that's why we don't speak about it too often. But in the very nice way of the system, then, the so-called worker, he's taken very well care of by the higher, just like a child is taken nice care of by the elders. So the same way, the workers, he was loved and taken care of by the hires. Yeah, yeah. So it said, basically, the Shudra, he didn't have his own place. So the Vaishyas, he let him live on his farm place, or he gave him some apartment to live in. And he was making sure he had got breakfast every day and lunch and evening meal, And he gave him clothes and everything. It was very actually loving relationship. You sometimes saw some old movie from the West, how they lived like 200 years ago. It was normal. They came, just some stray boy, he comes to a farm and he just starts working there, right? He becomes part of the family. This is like how it works. It's Shudra working under a Vaishya. It's just the Vaishya take care of these workers, just like a family member. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, let's just go on. What more is today? Yeah, so then Prabhupada, he gives some reference from the 11th canto. Lord Shri Krishna instructed Uddhava that by following this Varnashram system, one can satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And as a result of such satisfaction, the whole society gets all the necessities of life amply and without difficulty. So, if we actually follow this, of course it will work. It's just like a machine, yeah? It will actually, yeah. It's, it's like the machine of the society. Yeah. Yeah. That's the point. So it can also be binding. So that's what. That's the point. So that's why Prabhupada, he wraps it up by actually saying later here. What does it say? Let's see. Yeah. So he says, that thus the Krishna consciousness movement is so nice that there is no need of even designating oneself as Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, or Sannyasi. So it's the same, Krishna is telling all these things, and then he says, Sarvadharam Parityajya, just give it all up and surrender it to me. Right? So because you can actually block one's spiritual life to be too much into that, but at the same time one may do it. It's just like we are eating, sleeping, and we are taking rest. But if you all the time talk about that, then it will block you whatever we want to do. We just do it without thinking about it. Yeah. So it says, so let everyone be engaged in whatever occupation he now has. Simply let him worship Lord Krishna by the result of his activities in Krishna consciousness. That will adjust the whole situation, and everyone will be happy and peaceful within this world. Yeah. Yeah, and then he can regulate, and he can also, you can see, punish people also according to what status they have. That's also given, actually. Yeah, it is administrative knowledge. Actually, it's described in the Kshatriya books. The Kshatriya books are describing it more in detail. It's true. So in that way, everybody doesn't need to know it, but especially Kshatriya, he needs to. It's, yeah, the Kshatriya is a scholar. He really is, because according to the according to the Shastra, he's just like Brahmana, but he's just a little bit more passionate, and he wants to get his hands dirty by fighting and stuff like that. While the Brahmana is completely pacifist, he just gives knowledge, and he's not interested in manifesting violence or conquer the enemy or anything like that. So in that way, there is a difference. Yeah. I just want to wrap up, because I mean, with another statement by Rupa Goswami about Vaidya Bhakti. Um, let's see, because it says here, that yeah, it says there are three types of persons qualified for Vaidya Sadhana Bhakti. It's Uttamadhikari, Madhyamadhikari, and Kanishtadhikari. You probably heard about these distinctions before. No, but you were almost there. It's the three types of advancement in the practice. So Uttama is the highest, Madhyam is the middle, and Kanishta is the lowest practice. As I said, the Uttamadhikari is similar to the person described in Bhagavad Gita and the Modha. He just sees Krishna everywhere. He doesn't have any issues with anybody, including himself. He's peaceful, and he don't see the need even to preach. He just sees everybody is with God, and there's no issue. And Madhyamadhikari, he's one who has practiced a long time, and he knows how to deal with different people. He says he knows how to discriminate between four kinds of people. One is the demon, and another one is the devotee, and the third one is the envious. No, not envious. Well, now I forgot. But anyway, he know how to discriminate, between different kinds of people. And then Kanishtarikari, he doesn't know. He treats, the guru as a lower than himself, and he treats somebody lower than himself as a guru. I mean, he just makes a mess because he doesn't have enough knowledge. Yeah. So actually, it's given here. I can give you the definitions. I didn't know that, but Rupa Goswami is giving actually very nice definitions here. So let's see about the Uttama. So it says, the Uttama is the Uttamadhikari is defined as follows: the person who is skillful in scripture and logic, completely firm in his belief, with deep faith, is considered qualified as Uttama in Vaidya Bhakti. Yeah, I'll give the Sanskrit also for reference. It says Shastra Yukta Cha Nipuna. Nipunaha, it means to be just expert. Yeah. And then you have the next one. That's Madhya. Madhyamadhikari is as follows: the person who is not fully conversant with the scriptures, like Uttama, he still knows a lot of scripture, but has firm conviction in them, is known as Madhyamadhikari. So here the whole definition is just taken in regards to scripture. And then Rupa Goswami concludes with the lowest on the wrong, and that is the Kanishta. But everything's said and done, Kanishta is still very advanced actually, because not many people are on that level. Out of millions of people, there is only one who actually started sadhana bhakti as a Kanishta. So the Kanishta is he who has weak faith because of even less knowledge of the scriptures than the Madhyamadhikari. He is the Kanishta. Yeah, so it's all about faith according to how much one has learned from the scriptures. Yeah. Yes. So then let's see what more is there. I think Prabhupada, he's actually wrapping up the chapter now. He's saying, in the Narada Pancharatra, the regulative principles of devotional service is described as follows: any activities sanctioned in the real scriptures and aiming at the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are accepted by saintly teachers as the regulative principles of devotional service. So that's pretty good. Yeah. Any activities sanctioned for satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. Yeah. Yeah. And if one regularly executes such service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the direction of a bona fide spiritual master, then gradually he rises to the platform of serving in pure love of God. So end of chapter. So yeah. So any comments or thoughts about this? Isn't it? Yeah, it's enough for for digesting until next time. And next time we will talk about we'll go to the third one, the third chapter, and that will be let's see, what will that be? I'm just looking here. It'll be Bhava Bhakti. Yeah. So now we first talked about Sadhana Bhakti. Next will be Bhava Bhakti, and the third time will be actually about Prema Bhakti. So just buckle up and fasten your seatbelts. Yeah. Yeah. And of course, then you have the same. You have the same then in the higher levels. Then of course they are more advanced again. Yeah. So, looks like that. Yeah. We're just talking about the level of advancement in faith here. It looks like. Yeah. So it's because it's called adhikari, uttama adhikari. Adhikari means you heard that the word before, right? Aspiration. Yeah. Yeah. I think you can say like talent. Say somebody has a great talent. It may or may not manifest. If the talented person doesn't do anything, then so that person Uttama, he has a Uttama talent for bhakti. So he's really eligible, really qualified. And then once he enters into the real, natural, spontaneous service to Krishna, he will be in perfection. Yeah. And that we'll talk about next time. And that perfection starts with bhava, and then it matures more and more, and then becomes completely pure love called prema. So yeah, so thank you so much, and we'll stop there. We can talk after I close off the YouTube. So Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu